When you follow the rules of life, you naturally put yourself in a space of joy. For example, whenever I am in a state of quiet, I get a lot of revelation. Revelation keeps me joyful. So I intentionally put myself in a state of quiet so that I'm consistently in a state of revelation, and then I'm consistently joyful. It is not what happens to us that makes us sad. It is our understanding that determines how sad we are. The most important number in the world is 1. If you have one desire, you become unlimited. When you have more than one desires, you become limited. Any feeling that you do not fertilize with words eventually dies. To live your best life, you must find what you are willing to die for. To find what you are willing to die for, you must die to pleasure. Because as pleasure dies, passion comes alive.
Yes. So what is about repetition and belief?
Okay. If you repeat a thing, you will believe it. Yes.
Repeat it.
Yes.
Believe it.
So believe it, repeat it. One of the most important principles of life, that life is a battle between pleasure and passion. You can be consistent and be on the same level. You can never be intense and be on the same level. So in life, to advance, you must be advancing, because stagnancy in an advancing world is retrogression.
Now, how does now let me move into the emotion of anger. How does anger come about, and is it possible to overcome that emotion?
Yes.
How?
It's very possible. Okay. I want to share a practical example with you.
Sorry.
Pastor Adeboye is having a discussion with the Lord. I'm sharing an example from him. He shows the example. And he's trusting God for a greater anointing. And he says that, and God is saying that, do you know the price you must pay for this anointing? And he thinks that God is going to say, you have to fast more. Maybe you fast for 40 more days or anything. And God says, no. That if I give you this anointing, whatever you say will come to pass. So you must never get angry. You must never get angry. I told you something. I say, when you see the price, it's easier to pay the price. Yes.
When you see the price.
When you see the price, it's easier to pay the price. And let me tell you something. And see, this is where attention comes in. I'm going to share 2 examples with you.
Okay.
Pain is only strong when you are attentive to it. And when I mean pain, I mean anything negative now.
Okay.
Yes. Or anything that we seemingly run away from. Let me give you this example. A pastor was going to preach a message. But before that, hot water had poured on his feet. So when he put on his shoes, it was painful, because hot water means his feet was burned. But he had to wear a shoe and wear a suit to preach. So he just went. Guess what? When he was preaching the sermon, he didn't even remember that his feet was burnt, because his attention was on the sermon. The moment he came down from the pulpit, that was when he started to feel the pain. Do you understand? So it is not the pain that made him feel pain. It was the attention he was giving to the pain that made him feel pain. Do you understand? When he saw a bigger prize, the pain left. He didn't even know. Like, do you understand?
Now, how does it relate with being angry?
Angry, very good, very good. You see, let me tell you something. The first day I passed an ICANN exam, a person pushed me as I was trying to enter a bus, and I was the one that told him sorry, because I was very happy. So on a good day, you push me as I'm trying to enter a bus, I should, retaliate,
Yes.
But because I was so happy, I told him, oh, sorry, and I entered the bus. Do you understand? So it was not the anger. It's not our anger that leads to our reaction. It is the state we are in that leads to our reaction. Yes. Because how do you explain that somebody pushes you, and you are the one telling the person sorry? Do you understand? How? But because that day I was very happy. I had passed an exam. Do you understand? So that couldn't matter to me anymore. Do you understand? So if you put yourself in a state where your attention is very strong, and you can fix your mind on things that make you happy, when people do things to you that should make you sad, there's something you see, because anger does not operate at the same frequency as joy.
Okay.
Joy is a high arousal state. Anger is a low arousal state.
Okay.
Repetition can get you from a low arousal state to a high arousal state. So if you are you are sad and you go and exercise, you're on a treadmill for 1 hour. When you've come out the back from the treadmill, you find out that you are not as angry as you were. Because yes, repetition is one of the things that gets you from a low arousal state to a high arousal state. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is that if you get to a point where you are very, very happy, you are very happy, all those things that will get to you normally, that will offend you, will not offend you anymore, because you are at a higher plane, you are at a higher place, your frequency is higher. All those things don't mean anything to you. They don't mean anything to you at all. Pope John Paul was shot. He went to prison to forgive the person.
Wow.
Yes, it's on record. So, but you see, so because it was already at a high frequency, so what people will do to you won't matter to you anymore.
So you said a high frequency, so that means it has to be an experience. So you now, why you didn't react when that person pushed you? Because you passed an
I was so happy, yes.
You were so happy,
yes.
So imagine that you didn't pass an ICANN exam.
Yes.
That means you potentially react.
Yes.
So does it mean then are you going to say then it's okay then, since if your state then is not happy, what are you going to be used to make it happy so that you don't react regarding anger?
Yes. Joy is a choice. Joy is not an occurrence, it's a responsibility.
That one that happened to you was an occurrence.
It was an occurrence, that's true. But I don't have to. I don't have to wait for that occurrence to be on that frequency. I can generate it.
How do you generate it?
Very good. There are so many things. We see, when you follow the rules of life, you naturally put yourself in a space of joy. For example, whenever I am in a state of quiet, I get a lot of revelation. Revelation keeps me joyful. So I intentionally put myself in a state of quiet so that I'm consistently in a state of revelation, and then I'm consistently joyful. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's it. So it's a choice, it's a responsibility. So I can intentionally decide to orchestrate my life such that I will be very joyful at every point in time.
Even when things that are happening contrary to make you joyful.
I'm not there. Yes. Yes.
Maybe difficult or something.
No. But you see, it's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of understanding. Once you understand that, let me give you an example. If you understand, the Bible says something concerning Rachel. Genesis 29:31. It says, when the Bible saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Yeah. When the Bible saw that she was hated, that was when they opened her womb. So the prerequisites for opening her womb was that she was hated on. What that tells me is that when people are hating me for no just cause, heaven is on my side. Now, that knowledge should make me happy when people are hating on me. Can you see why there are some celebrities that no matter how many things you say about them, they will not respond? Because they have an understanding. That understanding takes them to a higher frequency.
Wow.
Do you understand? That understanding takes them to a higher frequency. They will never respond to you. They know that the more you are saying it, the more opportunities are opening up for them. Do you understand? Yes. Yeah. So, you see, it is not what happens to us that makes us sad. It is our understanding that determines how sad we are. So, the same thing with anger. The same thing with anger. The energy I will release when I'm angry is the same energy that it took to invent the email. So, whenever I let out an outburst of anger, if I know that that energy can create my next $1 billion idea, I will ignore that anger or that opportunity to get angry and concentrate or divert that energy towards my next $1 million idea. Do you understand? So it's about perspective.
That's potentially, if you say that, so if you, let's say you're walking on the road, someone just gives you a punch,
yes,
undeserved punch.
Yes.
So you should just say thank you and just walk away.
Yeah, see, ask yourself, if I retaliate, the level of retaliation, but I'm saying that there are certain actions that you take that don't add up to you as much as if you took a different action. Let me give you an example. I'm driving on the road and someone drives in a very shabby manner.
Yes, exactly.
I can curse on him. I can say that you are an idiot. I can even say you are a bastard in anger.
In anger, yes.
But I can use that same emotional energy to say that, man, my goals for this year, I'm going to fulfill it. So the energy has been released. But I can divert it towards saying somebody's a bastard or saying that my goals for the year are going to be released. Yes, and so when people do things that to get you angry, they have put you in an advantageous situation. But what are you going to do with that? Are you going to take it as an advantage, or are you going to throw it away?
Also, sometimes these kind of things happen spontaneously. Like it just happened, and you didn't even expect when you just give that form of reaction.
Yes.
So how can you talk about, how can you be able to work against that spontaneous reaction that you didn't even expect? Maybe when you not thought of it, you say, okay, maybe you shouldn't have reacted this way.
Yeah.
But that spontaneous reaction of the anger is already out.
Yes. You can train your spontaneity.
Okay.
Yes, over time you can train your spontaneity.
Okay.
Yeah.
How?
And one of the ways is that when you get into hours of prolonged silence, you get into a state of quiet, that even your spontaneity is controlled. Self-control includes controlling your spontaneous actions. It's not just your, in quotes, premeditated or pre-planned actions. So that's why we need to keep on training ourselves and training ourselves and training ourselves. But don't never believe that spontaneity cannot be trained or controlled.
Yes, because why I said this is, even if you remember Moses in the Bible, when Christ was telling him to strike the rock once, but because he was angry, he has this habit of anger. He spontaneously struck the rock more than twice, and that resulted to what happened to him in the end of it all. So even though he is man filled with the Holy Spirit, he's God sent him, he's one leading the children of Israel. Does that save him from such kind of spontaneous action, or does that make you an evil person when such kind of spontaneous actions take place?
The key to that is because I'm not in. We all know what happened in the story. So judgment is God's prerogative. I'm not God, but we know what happened. We know what God did.
Yes.
But what I'm laying emphasis on right now is that we can train ourselves.
Yes. The training, like mentioned, what are the ways that
you can train yourself? It's just doing those same things that you do, but more consistently and on a higher level. So, for example, one of the things that I spoke about prolonged silence. When you have a feeling and you don't express it with a word, a feeling is a seed. The word is the watering of the seed. Eventually, it brings up a fruit. Any feeling that you do not fertilize with words eventually dies. Yes. So, prolonged silence is a way to train your emotions. Prolonged silence is a way to train your emotions. That's number one. Number two, visualization. If you visualize yourself remaining calm, that's what, there are some athletes that when they are losing a game, they lose it. When those athletes actually go for therapy, some of them go for training. But one of the things that goes on in those trainings is that they are trained to create mental models. They create mental models. And one of the things they do is that they have affirmations that they say over time that I will face some of the most difficult challenges I will face. I will go through some of the most difficult challenges. I may have the worst umpire or referee against me, but I will stay calm. I will stay calm. Now, and I told you, I said a word that you intensely internalize becomes an image. An image that you intensely internalize becomes an experience. Now, because they will do it over and over again, sometimes they will start with 5 minutes a day. They will take it to 5 minutes 3 times a day. After a while, they take it to 30 minutes 8 times a day. But they are doing that. Those are affirmations. They are making a mental model, to the point that they are so familiar with it that when it occurs in real life, they have mastery.
So
I told you.
Come from constant,
that's it. See, repetition is manifestation.
So they grow into it.
You grow into it.
Maybe sometimes even if you fail on it, you just learn from it and grow into it continually. What you were talking about, you mentioned something regarding if you know the rules of life, you will not do something. So what are the rules of life?
Okay, let me give you about just 3 of those rules. The most important rule. To live your best life, you must find what you are willing to die for. To find what you are willing to die for, you must die to pleasure.
Say it again.
Okay. To live your best life, you must find what you are willing to die for. The happiest person in life is the man that is ready to die for a thing with the strongest level of intensity. So the beginning of life starts when you are ready to die for something. You are ready to die for a worthy cause.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Then you said,
To
you said
live,
the second part.
hold on.
Okay.
Don't do it again. To live your best life,
Yes.
you must find what you are willing to die for. That's why you see that people that really attain peak performance, people that really succeed in life, are people that they are so audacious. They are ready to do things that people are running away from. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketballers of all time, he practiced even when his finger was broken. Ariel Sharon, one of the greatest Israelite warriors of all time, he was shot in battle. True story. He was bleeding. He mixed his blood with sand and ate it so that he would not die, and he didn't die. I'm telling you true stories. Hold on. The greatest photographer of all time, Sebastian Salgado, Argentina. Genocide photographer. He's taking photographs in genocide regions. After a while, he begins to ejaculate blood.
Wow.
Because, you know what? Because visualization is powerful. He had seen so much blood that he started ejaculating blood. He goes to the hospital. The doctor runs tests on him. The doctor does not find anything wrong. And the doctor says that, listen, the reason you are ejaculating blood is that you have seen a lot of blood. He says, stop going to those places. And he says, you know what? I will never stop. I'm ready to die for this.
Wow. So does that tie with your initial explanation of action, words, thought? Because what's happened to you now was because he has seen, experienced, thoughts.
Yes.
So how come habits and action didn't overcome that experience?
Very good. The action and habits were not as intense as the thoughts. I told you the law of intensity. A stubborn thought will humiliate a gentle or casual habit, even though a habit is stronger than a thought. Do you remember? Can you remember now?
I get it now.
Understand. Never forget the law of intensity. Never forget the law of intensity.
Wow. So intensity can overrule a habit and
yes.
action.
If the thought is stubborn, let me tell you something. If a person is very healthy, you have healthy habits, but you have a stubborn thought telling you that you will fall into a disease and die. The stubborn thought can corrupt the healthy habit.
Wow.
If the habit is not equally stubborn, if it is just a gentle habit, the intensity of that thought, a stubborn thought, will corrupt a casual habit.
It's all about who is more stubborn.
Yes. So that's why I tell you that a healthy goat will kill a baby lion. It's a goat. A goat will kill a lion. A thought can kill a habit. The same way a goat will kill a lion, because the goat is mature. The lion is a baby. Yes.
Okay, continue on the rules of life.
Okay. So, to live your best life, you must find what you are willing to die for. To find what you are willing to die for, you must die to pleasure. Because as pleasure dies, passion comes alive.
Say that again. As pleasure dies,
passion comes alive. Yes. Let me give you an example.
Interesting.
When I was in university, I had this girlfriend. Her name was Tommy. Beautiful girl. The moment I fell in love with this girl, my passion for my studies just went down. My pleasure for her went up. My passion went down. The moment I eventually broke up, after a while, my passion for my studies went up again. That's when I learned this principle, one of the most important principles of life, that life is a battle between pleasure and passion.
Wow.
Yes.
So how do you break this battle more better?
So what you find that people do, high achievers do, is that they constantly reduce the level of their pleasure. Guardiola, one of the most successful coaches of all time, he tells his players that, listen, while you are a footballer, please just focus on football. After you retire, travel to everywhere, visit as many places as you want, but while you are a footballer, just focus on this. Reduce your pleasure as much as possible. Kobe Bryant, I'm going back to him again. He will get back home latest before 8 o'clock. He wasn't night clubbing anymore. In his peak years, he wasn't doing all that. That's why he had a very healthy and happy family. Yeah, they know the pleasures, they know the difference, they know the things that contribute to pleasures for them, they know the things that contribute to passion, and then they limit the pleasures. The more they limit the pleasures, the more the passion increases.
What do you categorize as pleasure?
A pleasure is a destructive excitement. Anything that excites you destructively. Cocaine is exciting. If you meet anybody who has had an issue with crack cocaine, they'll tell you that it takes you to a level of euphoria that you may never even witness with any other thing. But guess what? It destroys your ability to think. So people who have crack addiction forget what they're about to say. Look at what he did to Majek Fashek. Yeah. So how you know it's a pleasure is what it's doing to your brain. If it's making you a nuisance to the society, it's a pleasure.
What about there might be normal regular ones that doesn't make you a nuisance, but that
yes,
describe this one.
Very good. Then that means that most likely they are not pleasure. For example, if I enjoy exercise and exercise helps my brain, even though I'm enjoying it, it's not pleasure, it's passion, because it is helping my overall well-being.
If I enjoy watching TV,
if it helps me to become more innovative, guess what? It is not pleasure, it is passion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything that helps you become better,
yes,
is passion.
Passion.
And not pleasure.
Yes.
Okay.
For example, a bottle of stout, alcohol. Alcohol contains ethanol. It weakens the brain. So the brain cells just become weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. Do you understand? That makes it what? It makes it more of a pleasure habit and a passion. You have pleasure friends and passion friends. There are friends that make you think more. There are friends that just kill your creativity.
So now, if you do this example, I've heard people that will say, before I can become active to do this now, I need to take 2 bottles of stout, and they become active for you. So that means it's feeling that the bottle of stout is feeling that passion. So
yes, it's passion. It's passion. Yes.
Okay. That is not like
that's the golden rule. I'm telling you. That's the golden rule.
Anything that makes you come alive to do better.
Yes.
Is a passion.
Yes.
Now, okay, you mentioned one of the rules. Is one of the mentioned. You say you want to mention like 3, so continue from there.
Okay. So that's one of the most important ones. So what that means is that when you live a life where you know how to control pleasure, and you can control it, then you now gain mastery. You now gain mastery over life. Every day becomes, you look forward to conquering pain, mastering pain. Challenges are exciting to you. You're not running away from challenges. What people are running away from is what you're even gravitating towards. That's number one. Okay. The second rule is that when things are very good, people are overwhelmed and don't know that things will eventually become bad. When things are bad, people are overwhelmed and don't remember that things will eventually become good. So people's cyclical nature of life is really very porous and very poor. So when there's economic prosperity, people don't save as much because they are overwhelmed. They don't know that recessions will come. When people are in recession, they get overwhelmed. They don't know that they will become an economic. So look at crypto now. People are not investing in crypto. They don't know that it's a cycle. Then when people were in crypto, and when crypto was booming, people didn't know that, listen, it won't happen for life. So you don't just put all your saving. I coached somebody who almost committed suicide. He borrowed money from a bank to invest in Bitcoin. Wow. And the price of Bitcoin went down. So you see, when that kind of man who has children, who is married, feels like committing suicide, and he says, life is unfair to me. Life is not unfair. You disobeyed one of the rules of life. Yeah, you disobeyed one of the rules of life.
Okay.
Disobeyed one of the rules of life. Yes. Then I'll share a couple more of these principles with you. Consistency gives birth to intensity, and intensity gives birth to manifestation.
Okay, break it down.
Okay, see, consistency does not give you manifestation. It's intensity that gives you manifestation. Let me. Whatever you want to manifest. Do you understand? I told you that.
Consistency and intensity are not the same.
They're not the same thing. Okay. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing at all. Let me tell you what consistency is. Have you not met people who have been teaching in schools? Literature teacher has been teaching for 20, 30 years. It's consistent. Have you not met doctors who have been consistent in their doctorate in this thing, but they are still on the same level? You can be consistent and be on the same level. You can never be intense and be on the same level. Ooh. Intensity means that you are growing your consistency. Your consistency is improving. It's not on the same level. You understand? Okay. Because if you're on the same level, you're actually retrogressing.
Wow.
Yes. Because technology and nature of life, the nature of life is to advance. To be stagnant is actually to retrogress.
Wow.
Yes. So in life, to advance, you must be advancing, because stagnancy in an advancing world is retrogression.
Wow.
Yes. Stagnancy in an advancing world is retrogression. So consistency doesn't make the difference. It is intensity that makes the difference, which means that if, let me give you the difference between consistency and intensity. On the average, doctors perform 150 operations every year. Surgeons, neurosurgeons in New Jersey. Intensity means that they are doing 150. You are doing 220. Do you understand? Yes. Let me tell you consistency and intensity. Thomas Tuchel, coach of Chelsea, that man understands intensity. And that's why he's succeeding. He's very successful. When he's training with any of his teams, Chelsea, Borussia Dortmund, he trains in a smaller pitch. Yes. He says that if people can do a particular thing in a small space, when they get to a bigger space and there's more pressure, they will perform better.
Wow.
Yes. So guess what? Michael Jackson is going to perform a song. Intensity is that Michael Jackson will perform that song with less time, so that, and less resources, so that when he gets to the main stage, it's chicken change for him. So intensity is putting yourself ability to function even with less than is possible. For example, who told you that if you give a rendition at home, when you get to the stage, you're going to give the same rendition? Because at home, there were not 5,000 people watching you. So when you get there, when you add the nervous factor to it, you're going to perform less. So that's why a Michael Jackson will do a take 300 times. That 300 times is intensity, so that if I've done it 300 times, even if I don't feel like doing it on that day, I will do it. That's why some pastors will tell you they can't preach a bad message.
That's true.
Because they have intensively, they have owned it to the point that even on a bad day, you will say that sermon was good. To them, they know the sermon is bad compared to what they can do. But because they have mastered it to the point that even a bad meal, a chef who is a genius will cook a bad meal and you won't know it's a bad meal.
But it's not by the consistency of the person or the preaching that makes it intense.
Very good. Now, the difference between consistency and intensity is time. Your time. For example, if you throw 20 shots in 20 minutes, that's consistency. If you throw 50 shots in 20 minutes, that's intensity.
Okay.
Essentially saying, let me tell you something. The thing between consistency and intensity is when your neighbor slaps you and army man slaps you. If your neighbor slaps you, do you understand? You survive. You can. Your face will be normal. When army man slaps you from Okokobaiko, your life will never remain the same now. You understand? So that's the difference.
Okay. Okay. Now, what is the law of predominant thinking?
Oh, great, awesome, very important law. That law says that you don't get what you think about, you get what you predominantly think about. It's one thing to think about. Maybe, man, I need to get a promotion. It's one other thing to wake up thinking about it. You're thinking about it throughout the day, and then you go to sleep thinking about it. I won't mention the name of a particular MD of a Nigerian bank. Even when he was in school, when he's sleeping, he will wake up and wake his other mates up and tell them that when I grow up, I will buy a bank. So it was, can you see? That it gets to the point that even when you are sleeping, you wake up in the middle of the night and say that it will obtain you. That's the word. Obsession. Let me give you one of the rules of life. Very important rule of life. The most important number in the world is 1. The most important number is 1. For example, if you have one desire, you become unlimited. When you have more than one desires, you become limited. Because when you give your energy to one thing, your brain begins to function in the unlimited frequency, in the realm of unlimited possibilities.
Wow.
Yes. So that's why people who are very successful, if you look at their lives, they live singular lives. Now, singular means that the bulk of the things that they do complement each other. Their habits, what they do to relax complements their main purpose in life. Their friends complement their purpose in life. That's that Bill Gates, all his friends were tech gurus. Paul Allen, do you understand? Steve Ballmer. You see, so the people, the environment he had around him, his wife, was an executive, somebody that worked in Microsoft. So Everything is adding and fueling it. Their conversations feed their singular purpose. That's what singularity is. Singularity is not just doing one thing, because your body does not even do one thing. What your kidney is doing is not the same thing as what your liver is doing. What your liver is doing is not the same thing as what your pancreas is doing. What your pancreas is doing is not the same thing as what your tendons are doing. Do you understand? Your heart is doing something totally different. But guess what? They are all complementing each other. So it is one. So what I'm saying is, guess what? Let me give you an example. Albert Einstein, Nobel Prize winner, greatest physicist who ever lived. Even his habits, he loved to play the violin. Whenever he played the violin, he said, I used to get ideas in physics. Do you understand?
Wow.
Now, if you play golf, and golf does not, and you are a carpenter, and golf does not help your career as a carpenter, you know what? You are not living a singular life, you are living a plural life. Now, guess what? Power comes in singularity, and then disaster comes in plurality. Do you understand? So, one of the keys to having an amazing life is that you must live a life where everything you do complements. For example, if you are living, you play ice hockey, and you are living in a country like Nigeria where we don't have snow. Do you understand? Your environment alone is not complementing your purpose in life, is competing with your purpose in life.
Okay.
Some people are in relationships that compete with their lives. That's why some people will get married and their careers will just go down. Yeah.
Why? Is it because the partner or them?
Yeah, it's the union. The union is not just, it doesn't complement their purpose or what they've set out to do, and it begins to work against it. And that's where, so in plurality, your attention, listen, you need set your attention to be at a certain height. Let me tell you something. For water to become ice, it needs to get to 32 degrees. If it is 35, it will still remain water. Water to become ice must freeze at 32 degrees. Once it gets to 32, it becomes ice. The same thing. For your thoughts to become manifestation, it must get to a certain level of intensity. If it doesn't get to that level, it will not manifest. Now, when people live plural lives, it gets them to that to levels where they still remain water. It never crystallizes into ice because it never stays sufficiently in that fridge. It's in the fridge today, it's out. So you are doing your work today, your frequency is high, you go back to a troubled home, your frequency goes down. Do you understand? So you are not consistently ascending to the level of frequency. Do you understand?
Wow.
So even being a billionaire requires a certain frequency. And until you ascend to that frequency, it doesn't manifest.
But you talked about water, that it can be at 35 and still remain water. How can you be at 32 and freeze, but get 35 and still remain water?
Yes.
It's supposed to.
No, water only becomes ice at a certain temperature.
Okay.
Yes. So that temperature is 32 degrees. Do you understand? It's the same thing with any other thing, whether you are making boiling water. When you're going for the water to boil and steam, it must get to a certain temperature. If it is below, it won't steam, it won't boil. But it's above, of course, it will, of course. So, but life is like that. For certain things you want to manifest, you need certain levels of intensity for it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is about repetition and belief?
Okay. If you repeat a thing, you will believe it. Yes.
You repeat it.
Yes.
You believe it.
To believe it, repeat it. Anything. If I want to believe that I'm the most ridiculous human being, or if I want to believe that I'm the most amazing human being, all I have to do is repeat it and I'll believe it. And I'll share examples with you. Thomas Edison, he was actually poor in school. His teacher wrote a note to his mother saying that, take your child and teach him yourself because he's very dumb. The mother was an illiterate and did not really understand what the teacher wrote. She thought the teacher said that, take your child, he's too brilliant, so teach him yourself. So she kept on telling the child that, oh, look, you're too brilliant too. And he eventually became one of the most innovative human beings of all time.
So you say if you repeat it, you believe it.
Yeah, if you repeat it.
It comes down to your initial formula. What if the intensity of the thought is above, or the action or the habit is above the other one? Are you still going to believe it?
Now, what happens is that when you really believe a thing, you begin to act. So you begin to go up the hierarchy. You begin to act it. You begin to talk about it. You begin to, and then when an action becomes consistent, it becomes a habit. You know. Okay. So I can give you some more examples. Jose Mourinho was the coach of FC Porto, and he kept on telling them that I want us to face Manchester United because Manchester United at that time was the best team in the world.
Yes.
When they won. And he wanted them to believe that they could beat Manchester United. He wanted them to believe that it was possible. And so he said if he starts repeating it, saying it. So the players didn't know why he was saying it. They just thought that he was saying it because he had the technical know-how. But he wanted them to believe. So right from the group stages, he was telling them that, I would like us to face Manchester United. If we face Manchester United, we will beat them. Guess what? When they did the draw, guess who FC Porto was square to face? Was pitched against? Manchester United. And guess what? He said the players were excited because they were already primed. He had been repeating it. They were already primed. Eventually, they beat Manchester United and they won the Champions League, beating Monaco in the final. Do you understand?
So how do you describe intuition and emotional mastery?